We are on chapter 13, yeah, 250. Learning the laws of lending and borrowing. And as the law is that you can lend and borrow without interest to a fellow Jew, or I mean, you can, that's the only way. And the parameters in the law. We continue in chapter 13, okay, of how you can now expropriate if the loan wasn't paid.
Oh.
What happened?
From your fellow Jew.
Following laws apply when a lender comes to expropriate property on the basis of a promissory note, right? You have a promissory note, right? It's documented that I lent Yankel money, and for whatever reason he's not able to pay. Now I can expropriate property as a result.
Yeah.
I can't expropriate, biblically at least, not movable objects, but property you could.
The question is if he's not around.
Let's learn Rambam. Okay. So on the basis of the promissory note, if it's only a loan that was given verbally but no documentation, then you can't expropriate. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's in his possession, or the borrower is not present. And the borrower, is not present. So he's not present. How are you going to expropriate? It is possible to send a messenger to the borrower and notify him so that he can confront the lender in judgment, right, in court. We send a messenger and notify him. So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
Right? He's away, send a messenger to him.
You can't just go and take it
And
yourself.
take an oath.
What are you doing?
It says here take an oath.
What? Can we read what we're reading and not read what we're not reading?
We instruct the lender to take an oath.
We didn't get there. You're reading further. Don't read further. Read what we're reading.
Okay.
Read what we're reading, okay?
Yeah, okay.
It is impossible to notify the borrower speedily, right? In other words, you don't have to go across the ocean to go find him because that's not speedily, right? In other words, you have the contract about the loan, and it's due now.
Yeah.
And the guy is overseas, and back in the day, okay, today you can send the text.
Yeah.
But back in the day, to go send a messenger, that would be very difficult, right? If it was just over to the next town, it's one thing.
Yeah.
So then we instruct the lender to take an oath, and then to expropriate property belonging to the borrower, either landed property or movable property, right? So we said I mentioned that biblically it's only landed property, but we learned yesterday that rabbinically that you can also take from movable property. Okay, we do not consider the possibility the borrower repaid the debt and the lender gave him the receipt, right? Why? Because if I have the documentation that Yankel owes me, well, if it was repaid, then I wouldn't have this documentation. Then it would have been ripped up, this agreement, right?
Yeah.
The fact that I have it, we assume that it's still not paid up.
Yeah. We assume that.
We assume that, right? This law is an ordinance of the sages, enacted so that people at large would not take money belonging to a colleague and go dwell in another city. For this would hinder the possibilities of loans being granted in the future. Right now, remember that biblically, you're not allowed to give a loan to a fellow Jew with interest, and the person is not even allowed to take it with interest. Now, there is something that that will be discussed called the Hita Iska, and how to make it into a business contract that it is permissible, but generally speaking, not. So imagine, if I lend to Yankel money, sorry, Yankel, there's no Yankel here, so I'm not talking about anybody, right? And I lend him money and then he moves away, right? So what's going to happen? Biblically, I have no way to deal with this. He's moved away. So that comes the rabbis, the sages, and they said, no. If we can't send him a messenger, right, then I have to have recourse. Why do I have to have recourse? Just learned it. Because then I will never lend money again. I'll never lend money again to someone. If I was getting interest from it, then I will lend money again
You're gonna get money.
because I'm making parnos, I'm making livelihood from it. I'm not making anything from this. I lent in good faith to somebody that he's going to pay back. He moved away.
Yeah.
You know, an easy way to make a dime or a little more than a dime, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm in the end, I'm not going. It's going to close the possibilities of future grants, of future giving of lending money, me or someone else.
Okay, in general.
Someone else won't even do it. Why? Because word will get out that Yankel owes me. He got the money. He moved out of town. Well, not only I won't lend out money, right? Others also are going to hear that and they won't lend out money. So the sages came and they had to make it in a way that you will be able to get paid your debt. He moved away. I have documentation. Right? That's rabbinic, not biblical.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two, the lender must bring proof of 3 matters to the court before he can expropriate property from the borrower outside his presence. Right? Because generally speaking, what's the court about? A plaintiff and a defendant.
Yeah.
But there's no defendant here.
None.
There's only the plaintiff,
Yeah.
right? So you need 3 things over here,
Yeah.
right? Because that's normally this is a court issue, right? So there are 3 things. He must verify the authenticity of the promissory note in his possession, right?
Signature?
He must prove that the debtor is in another city and is not present to defend himself in court, right? Not that he's sick at home or something, right? And the third thing is he must prove that the property that he wishes to expropriate belongs to so-and-so, the borrower, right? Belongs to him.
Okay.
Those 3 things.
Second one seems hard, but
Why?
just because how do you prove that some? Oh, I guess you just prove that.
Well,
he's
you have
there.
witnesses. Witnesses said that
Oh,
he
witnesses,
packed
yeah.
up his bags,
And
he
left.
loaded his donkey with all of his belongings,
Yeah.
and he left town.
Okay.
And the first
And he
one-
didn't even tell us where he's going, but we saw that he loaded
He
everything.
left.
And now we see at his home that there's nothing there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And the first one is signature?
Right, that the signatures are authentic, right? That the witnesses,
Mhm.
right? So if someone can, let's say the witnesses, witnesses are not available now, right?
Yeah.
So then I have someone who can authenticate that this is Schmerel's signature,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Number 3, how
Merrill?
Yankel's
Michael's
associate.
brother?
about Baruch? Okay,
Thanks a lot.
okay.
For my
The
part.
following rules apply when the lender comes to the court bringing security that is in his possession, right?
Yeah.
So I lent Yankel, he gave me his phone. I lent him $1,000, it's worth $1,000. So I have this as collateral.
Yeah.
It's called a security, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's in my possession. He's gone, right?
Mhm.
So now the question is, right? So now I'm coming to court. The security belongs to so-and-so, and I desire to sell it to receive payment for the debt that he owes me. Got it?
Yeah.
The court does not take action and does not tell him, wait until the borrower, the
Oh, so
court
this is
does
what
not take action and does not tell him, wait until the borrower comes and lodges his claim. The rationale is that had the lender desired to say that the security had been purchased, his word would be accepted. The court advises him to sell the security in the presence of witnesses, so the borrower will know how much the security was sold.
So this is a lender just coming to court, even though the borrower isn't asking for anything right now, and just saying, I
What?
want to. In this case, rule number 3, this is the lender, the person who borrowed, just going to court, and it's not like there's no complaint that's been lodged against him.
There's a time limit in your contract, you say until June.
No,
5th.
lender is not the borrower, right? The lender is the
Borrower's
one who
June
gave the
5th.
money.
Oh, okay,
If
yeah.
it's up to
Right?
June 5th
Yeah,
and June
I
6th.
so I lent the money. I'm bringing this. This is security that I have from Yankel that he's going to pay,
And he
right?
hasn't paid me.
And hasn't paid me. And here's my documentation that he owes it, and it's past due,
Yeah.
right?
So now I'm gonna sell it.
So this is what we say.
Okay. Yeah, I got
In
the
other words,
word
we
lender.
don't, the court doesn't say, come and wait until Yankel comes back,
Yeah,
right?
Mhm.
Why don't we say that? Because had the lender desired to say that the security had been purchased, his word would have been accepted. If I would come and say,
that doesn't make sense. And why would you do this in the first place?
yeah. No, in other words, I have this as security,
Yeah.
right? I could have said, I bought this. This is not security.
Uh-huh.
I could have done that,
Yeah.
right? I didn't.
Yeah.
That means what I'm saying that this is security is honest,
Mhm.
right? So therefore, we say, okay, fine, you could sell it,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
have to do it in before two witnesses.
Okay.
So that way, when the borrower comes back, he knows that it was sold for $1,000 and you got your $1,000, or
Yeah.
sold for $800, you got 800 and 200 owing, or it was sold for 1,200 and there's $200 left over,
Yeah.
right? Similarly, when a person gives a loan to a colleague and receives security in return, and then the borrower and the lender die, they both die. Regardless of whether the borrower or the lender dies first, the lender's heirs may take an oath and collect the debt,
Okay.
right? So now we're going to use Ruvain and Shimon.
Yeah.
Ruvain died, Shimon died, right? So the debt that Ruvain has on Shimon goes to the heirs, and the obligation to pay goes to Shimon's heirs, right?
Okay. All right.
Got it?
Yep. So the
So
debt passes
it just
on.
now going back,
Yeah.
right?
He has the land in hand. The lender still has the object in hand.
Yeah,
Okay, still on his side of the fence.
exactly.
Okay.
So the lender's heirs must take an oath holding a sacred object before he takes payment from the security, as is done by all those who take an oath and collect their due. His word is accepted because he is taking payment from the property that is in his physical possession. Had he desired, he could have said that he had purchased the property, right? So the heirs of Reuven could have said that we purchased this, it
Yeah.
belongs to us.
Yeah.
It's in their property, remember.
Yeah.
Remember, they got it from their father,
Yeah.
Reuven, who passed away. So they have it. They could have said it's ours. Well, we have doesn't belong to Shimon or Shimon's heirs.
And then in
now.
that case, they could have demanded that Shimon that they expropriate something from that would be like dishonest. Like the whole
Then they have a documentation that Shimon owes money, and
Yeah.
therefore they could expropriate.
And now-
Exactly,
yeah.
they could have done that, and they would have doubled it,
Yeah.
right? The fact they didn't do that, and they said that it did. So all they have to do now is take an oath,
Yeah.
right?
That the object belongs.
That this is a security for the oath, for what's owed,
Yeah.
and it's still outstanding, right? Now, that's the heirs are taking a oath with holding a sacred object. Okay. Now we ask the Rambam, why is a creditor not required only to take a Shvus Hesses?
What does that mean?
That's a rabbinic law, without taking an object, putting your hand on the Torah, right? It's a rabbinic oath. The heirs have to take an oath with they have to have an oath with a holy sacred object, like a chumash, right? But the creditor himself, not the heirs of the creditor,
Yeah.
the creditor himself only takes a rabbinic oath. What's the distinction? Because he is not taking an oath that the security is his, but rather that the money is owed him. If he lodged a claim concerning the article itself, saying you sold it to us or you gave it to us, he would be able to take a shvus hesses, a rabbinic oath, and be freed of responsibility. So, okay. In other words, the heirs first have to take an oath that the security is theirs.
Yeah. No, that the security is the lender, the borrowers.
Well, it's their security that they are holding on to, right? the lender is taking the oath, right?
Yeah.
But if it's the creditor himself, right? He doesn't have to take an oath that the security is his. He's taking only an oath that the money is still owed to him,
Okay.
not of the object itself,
Okay.
right?
So this is if the person who took the loan is going to court and saying, I took the loan and this is a security I put down for it. And for like why would he
Right.
have
But
to
now
do
the heirs have to do it with a holy object that they have to put their hand on,
it? Okay.
right? Right. Is because they have to also make a statement that this is security that is ours. Because I'm not exactly clear why. I'm not exactly clear why. Let's go further. Maybe we'll get more clarity. If by contrast, there were witnesses who testified that the article was given to the lender as security, but they did not know for what amount, he would be able to collect the money only after taking an oath. Aha. Since there are no witnesses, the lender would be able to claim it's mine. Therefore, we accept his word when he says so and so much money is owed to me, and the security for that debt, provided that he takes the same oath that he would have taken if there were witnesses who testified that the article was given as security.
The witnesses aren't enough, you still have to take an oath.
We do not free him of the responsibility of an oath because we do not employ the principle legally to free the person of responsibility to take an oath, but only to free a person from financial responsibility. He is not required to return the security before he takes what he claims. Okay. I'm going to confuse you guys. I'm going to go further.
Okay.
Number 4.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So give me a call. Let's
I have
speak
an
later.
appointment. Yeah, we'll talk
Are you
later.
going to Van Horn?
No, I'm going actually that way.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you. See you next Sunday, next Shabbos.
Yes.
Okay.
God willing.
Okay, number 4, the following rules apply. When a person lends money to a colleague and receives security for the loan, okay, right? Same idea. Should the security be lost or stolen in a manner that is not beyond the lender's control, the lender is liable for the value of the security, which makes sense, right? As explained. If the lender says, I lent you a sella for that security, but it was worth only 2 denarim, and the borrower says, I lent you a sella for that security, and it was worth a sella, the lender must take an oath taken by a watchman that the article is not in his possession. The borrower then must take a shvus the security is worth the amount of the debt. And he is freed of responsibility. Why does he have to take it? Right. So they're claiming different amount that the security was worth. So the borrower takes an oath, a rabbinic oath, that the security was worth the amount of the debt, and therefore he's free from all responsibility. If the seller says, I lent you a sella for that security, but it was worth only 2 denarim, and the borrower says, you lent me a sella for the security, and it was worth 3 denarim, and now there's not a full sella, the lender must first take the oath of the article is not in his possession. Afterwards, the borrower must take a scriptural oath, how much the article was worth. This is required because he acknowledged a portion of the plaintiff's claim. He then pays a dinner that he admits to owing.
Keep going.
Right, because there is a partial, right, in the previous one, he didn't agree with him at all, because I think it's 4 dinners to make a sella. So he's saying it was 2. He's saying it's 3. So there's a partial admittance over here.
Or I can-
Because in other words, seemingly a security that you give should be worth what the loan that you got,
So he-
right? And here in this instance, it's not.
So he lied.
The question,
Did he
it's not a
lie?
question of lying. That's not the point over
Okay.
here. Don't go there.
Okay,
That's not at all what we said. So don't say that,
okay.
right? It's a question of what's the procedure in the claim? What's the procedure? So in the previous one, he would take a rabbinic oath, right, for its value, because he's not admitting to anything. He's saying the full value. But here there's an admittance. He said 2. He's saying it's 3. So there's a partial admittance that it wasn't the full value. Right. So therefore he has to take a scriptural oath.
Mhm.
Right. Then the lender who lost this article, right, has to pay. Wait a second. Then he pays the dinner. I'm confused. The article is right. Why does the borrower have to pay a dinner? Well, I'm very confused. He lost. Hold on. I gotta see something here. No, 1 second, 1 second. I'm confused. Hey, I'm gonna stop here. I don't get it.
Thank you, Rabbi.
God bless you.
Y'all have a great day.